Hello all, I am Praveen Chaurasia, Assistant Professor from IMS Engineering College, Ghaziabad, affiliated to Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, Technical University, Lucknow. Here I would like to talk about one of the important course, that is digital image processing, and in this first lecture I would take the overview of image processing. So, first of all, here I am just giving the brief text and reference book of this course. So, on the behalf of AKTU course, we can complete entire syllabus of digital image processing by using Rafael C. Gonzalez, Richard and E. Woods, Stephen L. Adins book, and some of the reference book you can also prefer by Anil Kazan and Jairam Ramesh. They are also giving the brief idea of brief and entire idea of digital image processing. Here, if we talk about image processing, then first of all we have to understand what is the image. So, anyone can take the example of image what it is. So, here you can identify whatever you identify in a single shot by your naked eye, then we can say that is the image. So, at one particular moment whatever you see from your eye, then it is a image. So, if you can say it is, you are capturing the two dimensional shot, and by using x and y spatial coordinate you can derive another function that is called fxy. So, if we talk about that is the x direction coordinate and this is the y direction coordinate, then according to the fxy you can classify this image in terms of this frame. So, some of these rectangle block can form entire image. So, here you can say up to x has to move up to m and y have to move up to n number of rectangle block, and that rectangle block is actually is nothing but it is called the pixel. So, smallest quantity, smallest dot of one particular image is known as pixel. So, that thing we will also talk about later completely comprehensively. So, here that x and y is actually changing with respect to the gray level. Here you can also observe that that portion is having different kind of value of gray level, and that portion if you observe then it has different kind of value of gray level. So, you can say x and y coordinate, the value of that one particular rectangle block is varying with respect to the gray level. So, that entirely it will form a single shot image. Okay. Now, move to the next slide. Here I am just giving the brief idea about image processing. So, what is the image we have already talked about in previous slide, and now that processing word is coming into the picture. So, what actually the processing word is there? Here we are just taking the image as a input, and output is also we are actually taking as a output of that image itself. Now, it is just a signal dispensation, and input is an image and output is also the image. So, here why output of image is required? Because there is many defect is present in the input image. So, we have to clarify, we have to rectify that type of drawback, or we can say that type of sorts which is not required in your one particular image. So, that is the requirement of processing. So, why it is we are doing? We are actually extracting the information from that particular image. Okay. Now, if we talk about image processing with respect to this diagram, then you can observe that is your input side image, and it is not observable very much easily. So, to make it is very much observable picture, then you have to do some processing phenomena,
and that processing phenomena can be occurred by so many tools, which can be present in a reference number 1, as I am discussing in this complete lecture. At the end we can also observe the references of that particular number. So, on the first number I am putting the book of textbook, that is Rafael C. Gonzalez, and the tool of whatever the tool we are using to process such an image, then that tool is discussing there only. So, you can observe that input image is just a hazy in nature, that is not that much clear, but if you talk about the output image, that is more observable, you can observe here. So, that processing is actually required, and that processing is required some of the tool which will be I am discussing ahead, and next further lecture we can also discuss the image processing tool, whatever the tool is present. So, we will also talk about the image processing tool. Now, next if we talk about the application area of image processing. So, here if we see the image processing applications. So, first we are coming we have in a mind, that is criminology and forensic department. Second thing, that is transportation, it is also needed image processing. Third one is microscopy, medical imaging, that is also required image processing. Next, remote sensing, that is also one of the very important application. Now, come to the military application. So, that is very much essential, as you can see in the world there is war between the nation by nation is coming nowadays. So, that application is also needed for image processing. If we talk about industrial inspection and quality control, that thing we will also discuss, and many more application is also there, which you can also cover inside the image processing. Now, if we talk about comprehensively in a criminology forensic department, so I am talking about the this image processing, why it is needed and how we can use this image processing in this department, that is criminology and forensic department. So, here if you see, then pattern recognition has a great influence on forensic science. So, pattern recognition, you have to recognize that pattern as well. Now, see, if we talk about in forensic department, then these 4 analysis is become very much useful. Now, see, the first analysis we are presenting here, that is photo image comparison, PIC. So, here you can see, you can observe, that is the query image and that is the known image. By using some of the negative, you are taking the query image, and known image is just this one only. So, you can observe, you can extract some of the part which is actually impacted on that particular image, because that is the reference image, and your shoe will become very much hazy because of some soil, because of some dust, then it will become like this. So, if you extract them, then it will look like this one. So, image comparison you can observe here. So, both image can be compared with the original one, and you can identify whatever the impact is present on that particular image. So, see, you can observe that part is actually affected on that portion only. So, you can understand by using photo image comparison. Now, if we talk about ICA, image content analysis. Now, see here, that is also I am taking from the second reference. So, now see here, one of the person which is actually we are taking the scrutiny of that person, what is the which type of fingerprint is there on his back side, then such type of impact we can identify. Okay. So, that content analysis can be done using image processing. Okay. Now, some of the another type of application of image processing is also there, that is called image authentication. See, here person is not visible, but here the person is there. So, you can say person's authenticity by you can identify person by using image authentication by doing image processing itself. Okay. So, these are the application which is generally under the forensic department and criminology department. Okay. Now, if we talk about another term, that is image enhancement. So, here you can see that is the picture which is coming from space and your earth is look like in this way, but any part of earth is not observable because it is more haziness, okay, or blurred we can say it is look like. But if you enhance that image, then it will look like this one. So, that is more effective in nature, we can say. You can observe one of the part whatever you want in that particular image. So, enhanced image you can observe by doing some image processing tool. So, here this is the input image and you are putting the image processing tool here, and at the output end you will obtain enhanced image. Okay. So, that is the actually image enhancement process you can observe related to image enhancement. If we talk about restoration, that is very small difference between restoration and image enhancement. So, here you can say that image is just broken some of the portion, that part is missing, that part is also missing, this portion is also missing. So, this image is requires some restoration portion, because that pixel, that smallest quantity which is observed by this image, that is not completely present. So, by doing some restoration type of processing, we have to restore that type of image which can be more likely to become that image. So, how we can restore such type of image, that entire thing we will talk about later, but here I am just giving the brief idea. If some of the portion is broken, see this one, if some of that portion is broken and it is not visible, then you have to take that portion at that place only. So, that is the theory we can use in restoration process. So, that portion is just pasted here. So, it will become a complete image, and after some phenomena you can obtain that completely restored image. So, as an input you are taking this image which is required to become a stored image, and using so many tool of image processing, after that you can obtain restored image like this one. Okay. So, if we talk about another application of image processing, that is transportation, which is used in a transportation. So, how we can use image processing in a transportation? So, that thing you can observe here. Driven vehicle requires intelligent transportation system, because here I am talking about intelligent transportation, at where there is no any, we can say commander is there, or we can say driver is there. So, if we have the automatically driven vehicle, then using the image processing you can move towards the right direction. So, so many process we have to use here. What it is? Path planning, that thing you can also identify using image processing. Obstacle avoidance, if your vehicle is going wrong side, then obstacle should be there. So, you have to avoid that obstacle. So, using image processing, or you can say image comparison, you can avoid such type of avoidance. Servo control, your motor can also be controlled by image processing. Now, traffic video monitoring, you can also monitor traffic by recording that video also, and that some of the example here you can observe. So, in this truck, or you can say intelligent vehicle, you can use image processing as a tool for that particular purpose. Okay. So, that is all about the transportation application in image processing. Now, next if we talk about next application of image processing, that is in the medical field, that is microscopy. That is one of the greatest application which is present using image processing. Why it is required? Because in medical field each and every part you have to observe, otherwise you cannot identify, you cannot diagnose one particular cell, or you can say one particular disease. So, that thing you have to recognize. So, you say if you observe that portion as an input image, now if you take entire dot as a observable quantity, then that will look like in a output manner in this type of image. So, each and every dot you can zoom in, zoom out, and after that you can identify what is the losses and what is the significance gain is there inside the dot. So, that part you can actually observe on that particular image, but in this image you cannot identify. So, that image processing we have to use here. Now, see, human body and part of human body, it is required the microscopic, and these images are then processed and analyzed by expert who provide clinical prescription by using ultrasonic rays, X-ray can be used, computerized tomography, CT, and MRI, that is magnetic resonance imaging you can use to detect microscopic medical image. Okay. So, using image processing as a tool, then you can identify each and every single part of that particular image which is needed, which is actually needed for clinical prescriptions, clinical observation you have to use. So, one of the expert, they can identify that slot, they can identify that portion, and they can diagnose that portion, and after that they will comment on that particular cell. So, you have to identify whatever you want in medical operation. Now, next if we talk about remote sensing, that is one of the very important application which is present of image processing. So, see what is the remote sensing? Remote is that type of area on that we are not going to, we are not actually able to go there, right. So, that type of portion is known as remote sensing, remote areas. So, on that area we have to sense that portion, that path is suitable for us or not. So, that sensing we have to identify, we can identify using IP, that is image processing. So, see, remote sensor to gather information about the earth, because so many area we cannot go there and identify what is the quantity, what is the mountain is there, or we can say what is the rock is there, which kind of rock is there, and that portion, that soil we cannot identify. So, you have to identify, you have to sense these remote area. So, using image processing you can also identify. How we can identify? Using electromagnetic radiation, force field, or acoustic energy. So, these are the information gathering tool by which you can identify that type of information. Okay. And one of the important thing you can also observe in remote sensing, that is called thematic maps. What is the thematic maps? You can also go there on the fourth reference which I am going to discuss on the next slide. So, on the fourth position I am talking about, I will read about, I will have the complete comprehensive knowledge about thematic maps. So, one can go there and identify what is the thematic maps. Here I am just giving the brief idea of thematic maps, by which you can see these type of map you can observe, and the legend you can identify in this manner. So, at where that gray line is there, then you can say that is the flat region. If you observe the red region, that is the north direction, it is mentioned here, and if another type of thing is there, then see, let us take an example of green area, then such type of direction you can observe in a southeast. So, that is under the thematic maps, which is derived from visual interpretation or image segmentation. Okay. What is the image segmentation? That is also the one of the very important topic of this image processing. So, that thing we will also cover in a next ahead lecture. Now, if we talk about military application, so see, for defense and security application it is much more needed. In image processing it is much more required for defense and security application. Why it is so? Because a small target detection it is actually required, missile guidance, which place we have to guide the missile, at where radar it cannot identify that missile. So, that thing we can also identify using image processing. Without image processing it cannot be happen. Tracking, you can also track the missile using image processing. Before what is the image, and next after the sum of the time what is the image, you can compare both of the image, then you can track that missile also. Vehicle navigation, which part that vehicle we have to process and we have to proceed on that particular path, that navigation should be there. Wide area surveillance, that each and every point and every path have to be surveilled by image processing. Automatic added target recognition, target can also be recognized automatically. So, that entire portion can also cover inside the military, and that is only can done using the image processing itself. Now, if we talk about military application in some of the very much important topic. So, here if you see the goal of military application, then you can say reduce of workload of human being, that is should be there. So, that is why the military application we have to use, and so many algorithm we have to opt for such kind of application. If we talk about one of the example, then you can observe train analysis is present. So, which place we have to process our military for one nation, for some of the region, then train analysis we have to do by using image processing. Without image processing you cannot identify where is the mountain, where is the rock, where is the some of the path, where is the river, we cannot identify. So, such type of analysis we have to need. And weather forecasting it is also needed for military application, because without weather forecasting we cannot identify we have to go further or not. Now, if we talk about another application, that is industrial inspection and quality control. So, you can control the quality as well as inspecting the model which is you are supplying. So, if you have the PCB, then you can recognize easily which part is damaged and which part is not damaged. Okay. So, your PCB is okay or not, then you can identify using image processing. Your tablet is completely filled or not, that thing you can also identify. Your bottle is completely filled, which is supplying on the Coca-Cola company, or we can say some of the company, then that thing you can also identify. In comparison it has to be taken into the account, then you can identify that portion is completely filled or not. Now, another portion you can also identify using image processing. So, these are the references which I have completed in this. So, in first reference the textbook we are observing, and the second the reference book I am taking, and the third that is the journal paper we are observing, and for the thematic maps analysis we are taking that fourth reference. Thank you.